Hello everybody! Now as you guys probably know already, this is our first ever press car, the 2020 Honda CR-V Touring. And of course that did allow us to keep this car for 7 days and really get an in-depth understanding of what this CR-V is all about. So what we wanted to do was make a quick video with our top 5 likes and dislikes that we've discovered over the past week. So with that said, let's go ahead and get into the video. So for our first like, I wanted to talk about passenger space because this is an incredibly spacious vehicle. I went ahead and got into the back seat because I think this is the best place to demonstrate it. We've had some full-grown adults in here over the course of this week, and everybody that's came into this vehicle has complimented it because check this out. This is behind my driving position. Now I'm not super tall, but I am 5'8", and as you can see, sitting behind myself, I can fully stretch out. This is like a limo mode right here. I can recline these seats back, fully stretch out, move my feet up and down. This is just simply not the type of space you expect in a vehicle of this size. Now on the dislike side of things, there's one feature that probably aggravated me the most throughout this entire week, and that's gotta be the infotainment system here. Now, when Honda refreshed this car this year in 2020, they chose to do nothing with the infotainment system. So you continue to have a 7-inch display. That's smaller than a lot of the competition, but it also just kind of runs their old software, and it's slow. It's an older system. It is slow to load up. We counted it out. It was about 45 seconds to start up when you press the start button in the morning time. And then just generally navigating around the system, you do get a lot of lag as you go through various things. But really the most disappointing thing, all in all, is just knowing that Honda makes a better system than this. Since 2018, they've had a new generation system, which is actually an excellent system. Really nice user interface, and it's very fast. But they've chosen not to put that here in the 2020 CR-V.
Now our second point here is a rather important one. So during our week with the CR-V, we took it on a about 250-mile road trip, and we weren't even uncomfortable when we arrived because this car is extremely comfortable to take on road trips. So in addition to it being really spacious, it's also really comfortable when you're driving down the road. When you hit a bump, you can't feel it. And also these seats are extremely comfortable. I don't even know what they do to their seats, but this is just an absolutely fantastic place to spend time. It's like a sofa, and then the center armrest can also adjust forward. So even a short person like us, we can have our elbow resting on something here. Now don't crucify me just yet when I get out this complaint here, but our second complaint is that this car is a little bit slow. We understand that a lot of cars in this class are not the fastest. It's not that what this class is meant to be, but quite a few offerings in this class actually are faster than this, and I don't know if it's because it's a combination of the small engine with the CVT, but it does give the illusion that it is pretty slow with this 2020 CR-V.
So my next like for this 2020 CR-V has got to be this center console area. Rarely do you ever see a vehicle that has so much versatility. This was already an incredibly versatile area, and Honda redesigned it for 2020 to make it even more versatile. So what you have here is basically your center console, and you can open this up here, and you've got a ton of space here to fit just about anything. You can take this little thing, slide it back, and pull it up, and then you have this really deep bin. This is at least double the nearest competitor in terms of size, and it just leaves you wondering, how does Honda fit so much space up here in this console where most automakers just use a shifter and nothing else? So for this next complaint, it may seem a little bit petty, but I am a car reviewer after all, so it is my job to be a little bit petty. But I want to complain about this shifter. Two things about it. The first thing, which is the thing that gets on my nerves the most, is drive is right here. You have sport and low below that. 90% of the time when I put this car in gear, I always hit sport or low. You just grab it and you pull down, and you're just setting right there onto sport or low, and then you gotta go back, then you miss that, hit neutral. It's aggravating. And then the other thing is it's just uncomfortable to hold this thing. It's really hard. I wish they would have just padded it or something like that.
Now, another thing that we've really learned to appreciate during our week with the CR-V is the absolutely excellent fuel economy that this vehicle gets. It's rated at 29 combined in the fuel economy, and what we've been averaging is around 28 to 29 miles per gallon with aggressive driving. So that goes to show that, you know, with the CR-V, you're actually going to get what it's rated, and if you drive more conservatively, you should actually even be able to get above what it is rated, and that's already very good for the class. Now, one thing that's not so great with this CR-V is the climate control setup. Now, it is very easy to adjust the temperature and stuff like that. However, what Honda has neglected to add is a control for the zones. So in order to do that, you have to hit the climate button. And as we talked about in our previous complaints, this is definitely slow, especially if you first boot up the system. It's been on for a while, so that was better than normal. But it is pretty slow, and it's also just inconvenient to have to go through a menu and then look on screen to adjust the zones. That should just be a button here on this area.
So for those of you who don't know, our dad, he works in quality control at Toyota, and he's kind of taught us some tricks of the trade and gave us kind of a refined eye when it comes to build quality and stuff like that. So with that said, the CR-V absolutely gives me no complaints. This is a beautifully crafted cabin. As typical with Honda, fit and finish is just phenomenal. You won't find any type of panel gaps anywhere in the door trim, on the dashboard, anything like that. And everything is just really, really solid. The way, when you touch things, you know, you can just tell there's solidity there. There's not any types of hollowness, such as when you shut the door and when you open it back up. You know, this is a big area where a lot of manufacturers cost cut, and it's certainly not so with this 2020 CR-V. And finally, for the last dislike I want to mention, it's just that this touring trim of the CR-V is missing a few of the kind of advanced luxury features that the rivals have started to introduce over the last few years. So you won't find a 360-degree bird's eye camera. You won't find a panoramic moonroof here on the American version of the CR-V. You also won't find ventilated seats in the front or heated rear seats in the back. Now, those are features that some of the competitors have started to offer over the last few years. Now, I will say that things like the RAV4, they do cost quite a bit more than this CR-V. So even if Honda doesn't want to offer those features at this price point, I think there's actually room for an elite grade of this CR-V if you want to press up towards that $40,000 price point.
And before we conclude this little video, I do want to give an extra like that we really love with this particular CR-V, and that's this paint job. This is a new color for 2020 called Sonic Gray, and not only do I really love the look of it, but as you can see, look how dirty it is. It's absolutely filthy. We took this on a massive road trip, and I mean, look at it, it's absolutely filthy, but down here in the paint, you can't see it at all. It looks completely clean, besides for these black moldings and all of that. So this is definitely a color I would highly recommend. We actually got double takes in this because it's just a unique color that people haven't seen before, and I really love it. Well guys, that sums up our top 5 likes and dislikes about this 2020 CR-V. I have to say, this is just a really easy car to adopt into your lifestyle. I mean, during our week with having it, I've really enjoyed it. So if you're in the CUV market, be sure to check out this new refreshed model because it is definitely something you need to look at.